Hey everybody, we're still working through the book of Ephesians chapter 1, Paul's prayer for the Ephesians. Yesterday we saw how Paul's basic prayer was that they gain knowledge about God's word, about what God has to say to them. Today we're going to read a little bit farther ahead, verses 19 and 20. I also pray that you will understand the incredible greatness of God's power for us who believe him. This is the same mighty power that raised Christ from the dead and seated him in the place of honor at God's right hand in the heavenly realms. We see two things here that are important to Paul, but more importantly, they're important to the people that Paul was writing to about Christ. Christ was given power and honor. He was seated in a place of honor, and Paul prays that they'll understand the greatness of his power. Now, Paul is writing to a split audience, consistent of both Jew and Roman. The Romans in Paul's audience would have related to that statement of Christ's power. God gave him all power and seated him at the right hand of God. The Romans were all about power. They were all about understanding who was in control, who had the authority. They would go to courts and they would start by saying Caesar is God. Caesar has all authority, all power. Paul says Christ is given all power. He's seated at the right hand of God, a position of ultimate authority. He is God's right-hand man, you could say. But also, Paul says, he was given honor there at God's right hand. Now, the Jews would have understood honor because that was what was important to them. Having power was not as important because, well, they had no power, but they had honor. They were honorable people. So Paul says Christ was given that honor of sitting at God's right hand. He is God's son, and as God's son, he is made to represent God to us, carrying God's full authority, carrying God's power, carrying God's honor. Isn't that great? Christ is everything that we need today. Whatever it is that you are looking for, Christ has it. The Romans were looking for power, Christ has power. The Jews were looking for honor, Christ has honor. We may be looking for forgiveness, Christ has righteousness. All of those things Christ has. All of those things Christ offers us. Today, just think a little bit about what are you looking for? Just in general, Christ has the answer. Christ can give you what you need. I look forward to talking to you tomorrow.